In this video, we're traveling to the big island of Hawaii with adventure photographer Mike Mezeul and the Nikon Z7 II. An avid volcano photographer, Mike is returning to Hawaii to continue his work documenting the recent Kilauea eruption. We'll be taking a photographic tour of the island with Mike, exploring just how fundamental volcanoes are to everything here.
My name is Mike Mezeul II, and I am a nature and landscape photographer. Volcanoes are a definite high interest. They're next to storms, my favorite subject to photograph. I mean, I think it's so cool to get to photograph something that has created this earth that we live on. I really enjoy the island of Hawaii, also known as the Big Island, because it's just so diverse. On the East Coast, you have rainforest, waterfalls, volcanic rocks. The west side, you have some beautiful sandy beaches to go relax on. And in between all of that, you have several volcanoes. In May of 2018, a large earthquake shook the island of Hawaii. We were right there at the end of the flow, documenting this as it erupted at nearly 300 feet tall. During the Leilani eruption, I came down here 2 different times, in May and June, and did my best to tell the story of the eruption, but also show how beautiful the eruption was. December 20th of 2020, an eruption occurred within the Halemaumau crater. Lava opened up in 3 different fissures and started pouring in. It is now the world's largest lava lake. And as of right now, there's really no end in sight for when this eruption will stop. So I wanted to come back out here and show the return of lava to the Kilauea volcano. I've been shooting the Nikon for quite a few years now. After the Z7 II came out, it has me convinced that I want to go over to the mirrorless side of things. From hiking around with a couple of lenses and feeling the difference in my backpack. The high ISO capabilities, the low noise, the electric viewfinder, the 2 card slots, everything that I could have asked for. Pairing up with the Z7 II, on this trip I used a variety of lenses, from the 14-24Z to the 24-70, the 70-200, the 50mm 1.2, and the 85mm 1.8.
The Nikon Z7 II is a high-end, full-frame, mirrorless interchangeable lens camera, built around a 45-megapixel BSI CMOS sensor. An advanced autofocus system can detect faces and eyes. 5-axis in-body stabilization keeps images sharp in both stills and video modes. Video features include 10-bit N-Log, 4K 60p internal capture, and RAW 4K with a crop.
Everywhere you look on the island, there are reminders that this island was created by volcanoes. This tube cuts across about 20 miles of the Big Island. You can come into these big atriums that are 40 feet tall, 30 feet tall, and 20 feet wide, and then as you round a corner, all of a sudden that lava tube shrinks down to a couple feet tall and you have to crawl through it. People will see it and they're like, oh, you're in a cave. It's actually like, no, we're not in a cave. This is a lava tube. This is where lava came down from one of the volcanoes, cut its way through the earth, and then went out to the ocean to help grow this island. To get a shot down there, it required utilizing long exposures and also some off-camera light, sometimes focus stacking as well, to create the images that are down there. So on one of the mornings, we went out for sunrise to Lapahoihoi Beach, and this beach is unique because it's one of the few beaches on the island of Hawaii that has these gigantic volcanic rocks sticking out of the water. And it's a battle between elements. You have lava, which is creating the earth, but also water, which is carving the earth, battling it out together. So it's a very fun scene to shoot. There's a lot going on these beaches, so 24-70 allowed me to have that little bit more reach that I needed and capture all the beautiful detail that was going on right there in that scene. Definitely trusting the weather sealing on this. We've gotten splashed a few times. Just from my experience with Nikon cameras in the past, I've put them through the ringer in all sorts of weather, and I feel completely comfortable having them out. We went out to Hawaii's Volcanoes National Park. It's extremely unique national park because you can actually visit an active volcano, which is the Kilauea volcano. But then there are also so many historical lava flows that you can visit and hike around in. And you can find these cool little ferns growing up through the cracks in the lava. So It's a great place to focus in on almost macro photography or small detail photography. It's not one of those spots that you just show up to and it's a give me. You know exactly what to shoot. You have to walk across some pretty tough terrain, but you can really find some gems. On our first go to the Kilauea Overlook, we went out on a night that had some really nice conditions, and that is a little bit of luck right there because the Kilauea volcano kind of creates its own weather. 100 ISO, 6.3, 30th of a second. Got a really beautiful view looking down into the actual crater with the glow of the lava. I threw on the 50mm 1.2. The 1.2 aperture would allow me to shoot a faster shutter speed and freeze the motion within the clouds. That's actually pretty sweet. That was a really fun panorama to create and probably one of my favorite shots from that outing. The following morning, we went at it again. We departed at 4 a.m. to get up to the crater for about 5 a.m. The shot for me there was getting the plume of the Kilauea caldera with the stars above. Another location that I truly love out here on the island of Hawaii is the Mauna Kea summit. Now, Mauna Kea is an extinct volcano, so there's no worries about having an eruption up there, but it is a very unique spot because you go from sea level to nearly 14,000 feet. You're above the clouds and you have a fantastic view of some of the historic cinder cones that helped create this island. How sweet would that be if Mauna Loa went off right now?
So this is where we're going to be going, yeah.
My buddy Bruce Omori is one of the most incredibly talented volcano photographers, and he happens to live here in Hilo, Hawaii. Bruce and I connected to go up in a helicopter over the Kilauea caldera. And we were able to get a bird's eye view looking straight down into this volcano, seeing all the action that's going on in there. We had an erupting fissure within inside of the world's largest lava lake and rainbows over the lava lake to create some incredibly amazing, diverse scenes. Shooting up in a helicopter, it's not the easiest place to change lenses, so I decided to take two camera bodies up with me, the Z7 II and my Nikon D850. Now on the D850, I had the 14 to 24mm f mount. On the Z7 II, I had the 70 to 200Z. The fast, quick, and accurate autofocus. The sharpness of the lens, plus the in-camera vibration reduction, that all just really helped walk away with some beautiful, sharp images.
My friend's home was on the opposite side of Luana.
Bruce is very deeply connected to the community here on the island of Hawaii, especially during the Leilani Estates eruption in 2018. So he was kind enough to introduce me to this gentleman named Heath, who had a heck of a story.
Probably about 4:30 in the morning on the 5th when this happened. So everything you've seen here, this is just where it splattered out.
His home was unfortunately totally lost from the eruption, but not only was it lost, the fissure opened up right in his backyard. You can literally walk up to this fissure, look down, and pretty much look into the abyss. Here we are 2 years later. You could still hold your hand over the fissure and feel heat, almost 200 degrees hot, and you couldn't hold your hand there for very long.
It's hot!
A lot of people are scared of volcanoes, and rightfully so. They do have a danger to them, but there is so much beauty to volcanoes and lava, and there's so much more of a story to tell that it really just became addicting.